Yes people, so in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make like a Belgium Grotty type bass similar to sort of Hedex, and it sounds a bit like this. So not much is needed to make this one. All you'll need is a copy of Serum, a camel crusher, a dimension expander and an EQ of your choice. Now I actually recorded most of this a few weeks ago when I was making my other video on how to make 3 different kinds of jump up basses. Link in the description. However, this sound took a lot longer to make than the others, and so I decided to give it its own video. As always, a massive thank you to everyone that has subscribed so far. It lets me know that you find this content useful, and if you haven't subscribed but you do find this content useful, then maybe please consider subscribing so I can keep making videos. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. Here's how you make the sound. Okay, so to start on this one, we need to change this first oscillator to the basic shapes under analog. Can leave that as it is, although we'll change the phase randomization as always down to 0. On oscillator B, we're going to change this to the retro speaking under the vowels, and we'll change the wavetable to 12, like so. And again, phase randomization onto 0. I mean, from that sound alone, you could probably see the direction this is going to be heading. So, on to the filter. We want this to both have A and B coming to it. We want to change the filter to formant 1 under the misc section. We want to bring the cutoff to 117 Hz. 118 will do, I'm sure. The resonance just ever so slightly up to 13%. The drive all the way up to 76%. The formant, that can stay on 0 for now, but we'll come back to that in a bit. And the mix we'll leave on 100%. So I'm just going to put the sub on. And now let's move on to the LFO. So if we bring the level of both oscillators down to 0, and if we make kind of like a, I don't know, kind of like a jet fin maybe. I'm just going to quickly change my BPM to 175 while we're talking LFOs. So the LFO, we want to bring this onto the level of both the oscillator A and oscillator B. And so we want it going all the way, as you can see here. We also want to change the mode on the LFO to trigger as well, so that every time we play a note, it plays. Okay, so let's beef things up a bit. So on the effects section, we want to add some distortion. We want to change this distortion to be tape saturation. We want to whack on the filter on this distortion, and we want it pre, so it's happening before. We'll bring the drive all the way up to 86%. And we will change the frequency of this filter to be 3205. We also don't want to have the bandwidth of this distortion filter up too high, so I mean I've got this all the way down to, oh dear, brought it down too much. It says 0.1, but I mean 0.1 is quite broad, as you can see. I mean 0.2's... Yeah, so we want it on the high end of 0.1, if that makes sense. So now we've done this, we want to add a phaser. We want to change the rate all the way down to being off. We want to change the depth to 46%. I'm going to change the frequency to about 373 Hz. That'll do, 374. Feedback, we'll bring that down to 62%. Or 60%, that will do. And the phase, we can leave that on 180. Now we want to add some chorus. Again, we want to bring the rate of this all the way down to 0. Delay 1 we can leave as it is. Delay 2 we can leave as it is. Depth, we want to bring this down to about 10 milliseconds. Let's go with 10.9. Feedback, we can leave that on 10%. Low pass filter we can leave as it is, and mix again we'll bring this down to 36%. Now I want to add some compression. So the threshold of this compressor we will bring down or bring up, I guess. Well, I guess we're bringing it up. Anyway, we need that at 10.4. The ratio we'll bring up to 5.1, or 5 to 1 should I say. Attack can stay where it is, release can stay where it is, and the gain will bring that up to about, I don't know, 6.5? Maybe let's go with 5.5. And now, this is where we're going to be adding some effects in the chain outside of Serum. So, if we go over to the trusty EQ8, and we want to firstly cut off those lows. So, low cut around 100. We want to change the bell filter. We want to add a slight dip, and then we want to add some a sharp high cut around the 12,000 hertz mark, and then we want to use this high shelf to really boost it up a little bit around the 500 hertz mark. Really gives it that throatiness. Now, a sensible producer would probably bring the gain on this EQ8 down to make up for the added gain from boosting the frequencies. And to round it all off, we're going to add a camel crusher and then a dimension expander for width. So, okay, so firstly in the effects chain, we want to add a camel crusher. And again, and this is nice and simple because although I haven't got an interface, we're going to be using one of the presets, tube warmth, one of the go-tos. All we need to do is bring the tube distortion down to about 3%. Turn the filter off. Turn the compressor on, and I have -1 dB compressor amount. And we want to bring the mix down to about 45%. Okay, now we want to add an EQ8, and with this we just want to be cutting off some of those low ends, having a little dip around the 100 hertz mark. So if we just add 100 hertz and then add a little dip using the bell mode, and if we cut off the highs around 12,000 and then use the high shelf to boost up from the sort of 500 hertz mark. So around that, I'll bring down that high cut. So we're just gonna, as you can hear, that really makes it a bit more, I don't know, crispy and a bit more throaty. So to round this all off, just gonna add another camel crusher, and guess what? I'm gonna duplicate the first one. So on this one, we're going to change the tube distortion slightly to make it 5%. Just a slight boost on that, if this wants to work with me. The compressor amount, will boost that again slightly, or bring it down slightly to 2 dB. Either way, it's going to add some more compression. I'm also going to take more of that 100 hertz cut off. I'm going to roll it off a bit more. And then finally, just for a bit of width, the dimension expander. Going for the classic, size all the way down, dry wet about 20%. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in a sub so you can hear what it sounds like layered with that. So now if we hear them together. Yeah, nice, grotty. I'm going to show you a couple of little changes you can do to the sound. So, I mean, firstly, if we turn on the triplet and dot mode, well, actually, if we just start with the triplet. Need to turn that sub down a bit. But yeah, as you can hear, if we turn it on to the triplet mode, So I'm just going to quickly, on this macro knob here, if I put this macro knob to first affect the resonance, and if we change the amount to 60, that'll do. And if we add it also onto the formant and change that amount to 22, with this with this macro knob now, if we turn it, we'll get different sounds. You get the gist. And the other thing as well is if you change the formant style on the filter, so formant 1. Oh, if I bring that down. So this is formant 1. And then if we go to formant 2. So there you go, a massive big thank you to you all for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you found it useful. As always, if there's any sorts of tutorials or videos that you'd like to see, please do let me know in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing. But until next time, see you later.